We want to do what we want to do. We don't want to be taxed to death. And if you're not going to give us that, we'll find someplace else where we can have that. And right now that's Dubai. The US is the only country in the world that will tax you on your worldwide income. If you go to another country, you do not consume the resources of the United States. You make money in that country completely and independently there. The US wants their money. Only country in the world to do that. Well, if you can't leave of your own free will, that is the opposite of the buzzword we use in the US, freedom.
Dude, if you look at, besides Dubai,
Yeah.
is there a better place in the world for it? Welcome to the Mindful Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Van Ness. Today's guest is Dan Henry. Dan Henry is the founder of Get Clients. He's been really an internet marketing sensation. He created amazing ads. He's been selling products, and he's been known as the high-ticket guy. Recently, he's come out with some more controversial viewpoints when it comes to the world around us, what's happening in the United States, and why he picked up and moved to Dubai. Fun episode. I've been following Dan for quite some time, so it's cool to sit down and chat with him and learn about what he's doing now and how he's creating an impact through his products, his courses, his sales trainings, and how he sells high ticket. Let's go ahead and dive in.
All right. Well, we know what we're doing here.
All right, so we're just about to get started here, and Dan told me to Google kids' books.
Uh-huh.
What are some of these titles? You want to go ahead and just
Yeah, sure.
read them to me?
So, kids' books. Let's see. Linda's tight clam needs loosening. In my daddy's belly, because that's been a thing. Everybody masturbates. Jesus in my gender, which is incredible. I don't get offended by anything, but that's pretty offensive.
This is Google's shopping tab.
Yeah.
This isn't some like...
Look at this one. Where is my dad? And there's 4 black people. Like, they're just like, how is that not racist? Like, how is that not racist?
If you give an oxy.
Like, if I say I don't like rap music, I'm like racist, but that is okay. How is, like, what is?
I didn't get it, but so what's the assumption?
It's saying
here?
that it's saying that black people. It's literally saying that black people abandon their children. Like, that's what I read when I saw it.
Yeah.
I
Dude,
mean,
that's crazy. That's crazy. What were the books you read as a kid?
I read like Goosebumps. It was like mild,
I had like
scary
Where's
stories.
Waldo? Like,
Yeah,
you
Where's
know,
Waldo? And
like
I didn't
Lemony
read
Snicket,
this
maybe.
Just rainbow propaganda, weird. I don't even know, bro. Like, why do you think I moved out of the United States?
Yeah, so you just moved to Dubai.
I lived in Costa Rica for a couple of years, and then and that was great. It's just slow there. You know, guys like us, we want to move fast.
Sure.
We want to move quick. I love it. Great food, probably the best food I've ever had, but things are slow. People are slow there because they don't care about money. They don't care about capitalism, so they're just chilling, and that's fine. That's cool. But for me, I'm like 1,000 miles an hour. So Dubai is like that, where it's family values, but it's extreme convenience. I got an eye infection. I got pink eye from going in a pool, or it could have been from jet skiing. I don't know. So I'm walking down the street, and I'm like,
Could have been from reading these books.
yeah, it's probably from reading that BS. So I Google it, and I got my eyes all like full of discharge, and I'm like, all right, I got pink eye. So I walk into a pharmacy, and I go up to the pharmacist, and I'm like, hey, do I need a prescription from a doctor to get antibiotics for my eye? And she goes, yeah, but your eye looks pretty bad, so here you go. Just hands it to me. Boop. It was good the next day. On my way home, I stopped by, because I had a pair of glasses that were incredibly scratched up, like bad, because I would use my
Times were
shirt.
tough.
Yeah. I just was lazy, and I would use my shirt, and I needed new glasses, and when I was in the States, it was like, oh, it's going to be like 2 weeks. Oh, crap.
And they make you get a new prescription every time you get
right?
glasses.
So I go to Costa Rica a little quicker, but I couldn't. I had to go, right? Because, I'm on the move. Go to Dubai. I walk into this optics place, and I'm like, hey, listen, here's my prescription. Here it is. Here's an image of it. I need new glasses. Do you even have this? And how quick can you get it? She looks at it, and my glasses, dude, these are thick. They got prisms. This is like a custom.
Are you near or far sighted? Is it a plus or minus prescription?
I can't see far away.
Okay.
Yeah. Plus, I have double vision, so I have my stuff's messed up, right? So she looks at it. She goes, "Oh yeah, we have all this." And I go, "Well, how quick can I get it?" She goes, 30 minutes. I said, 30 minutes with the frames, everything. She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, I gotta go. I gotta go meet my wife for dinner. She's like, well, just deliver it to your hotel room. I'm like, what? Now, this right here happens in almost every category of life in Dubai. Anything you need at any point, any issue you have, somebody can take care of it. You go on your phone on this app called Careem. You need a maid? Press a button. You need a car? Press a button. You need a ride? Press a button. You need to go to an attraction, maybe you're a tourist? Press a button. You need groceries? Press a button. It's at your door in 10 minutes. You need pharmacy. You need medication? Press a button. It's at your door. They have figured out how to make life. And I get it. There's people who say, oh, well, you know, there's slave labor there and stuff. And first of all, what country wasn't built on slave labor?
Yeah.
Second of all, I talked to waiters, taxi drivers. I really wanted to know this because it concerned me, you know? And every one of them said the same thing. They said, listen, yes, we don't get paid a ton here. Yes, we have to work long hours. But it's way better than our home countries, and we get to send money home to our family, and we were very grateful for the opportunity. And that's when I knew it was American propaganda, you know, like, oh, it's terrible there for people. It's only for rich people. And no, like, it's less terrible for a lot of those people where it's really terrible in their home country, you know? But they've just figured it out. And it's like a dictator, I think, like, or a leader or whatever. There's no politics there because there's one leader. Nobody complains about him because he does a great job. So, like, I was there for a month, and I looked at my wife, and we were just like, this is it. So if you're an entrepreneur and you need to get stuff done, that is the city, because you don't have to mess with normal life BS. It gets handled, and you can focus.
It's more and more expensive, I think, like, to get nice property there.
Yeah.
It's called the Palms, right? Is where, or am I making that up? Where
The Palm.
the Palm?
You don't want to live in the Palm
Okay.
because it takes an hour to get in and out of the Palm.
It's
okay.
beautiful though.
Yeah,
right?
Iman Ghazi lives there. I almost bought a place there. I ended up buying a villa a little bit outside of town, like 20 minutes out, because I got a 6,500 square foot villa with a driver's room, a maid's room, huge baller place for like $2 million USD. Now, here's the thing. You know how much a full-time live-in maid costs in Dubai?
Couple grand?
$1,000 a month. A full-time driver, $1,000 a month.
I just see like the absurd amount of luxury there, and I assume that, like, how do those people get by?
Well,
Like, how does that?
they
Oh,
can't-
they're living with. I guess they're living there.
Yeah, they get free room and board.
Sure. Okay.
Free food, and then the 1,000 is
Spending money or
way
savings or whatever.
more than they would make in their home country. Because a lot of people come to Dubai. So you got
okay.
three. From what I could tell, you got three.
They're escaping Canada and United States, and they're coming to.
No, it's more like Pakistan and India. But I'm escaping the United States. You would be escaping Canada, right?
Sure.
So from what I understand, there's three types of people there. And again, this is my limited knowledge. There's expats, that would be people like me and you that have money and go there to live.
Did you relinquish your citizenship?
No, I can talk about that. I wish. If you know, the United States
They're gonna
charges
tax you.
50%, bro.
Mhm.
All right.
I
ask
just
me-
became a citizen 6 months ago.
Oh, you sorry son of a bitch. Oh man, I'm so sorry.
But look, I'm super grateful for the opportunities I've been given because of the United States.
Me too. But dude, if I'm at a party and it's great, and then like somebody crashes the party and it starts to suck, I want to leave the party.
Who's crashing the party?
Did you Google kids books? Okay, like what? Listen. Okay, weird, radical, alternative lifestyle, liberal people. All right, and look, I used to be in the middle of the political spectrum 10 years ago. I'm still in the middle. The whole spectrum shifted hard to the left.
That's not what they would say though. They say
They, them, or them, or they, them, they, them, or they, 1450 identify as a tree, them. Okay, who's they? See, we can't even know who we're talking about anymore. It's madness. That doesn't exist in Dubai. Like, it just doesn't.
When you when they start referencing a they, and it's like on the media, and I'm so confused because they're saying, yeah, they went to the park, and I'm like, who's they?
Everyone outside of the United States, except Canada, is confused by the United States for good reason. Okay, they don't even talk about the United States in Dubai. They don't care because that is so wildly inappropriate and just ridiculous behavior that we do here that they don't even want to talk about it. It just kills the vibe. So nobody talks about it there because it's just like, well, we don't even want to We won't even think about it, you know? And I love it because to me, Dubai is, in a way, is freer than the United States. And so I said there's three types of people, right? There's the expats, there's the people that come from more local countries to work there, and then there's the natives, which would be like the Emiratis. And they have they get special housing that is cheaper and all this stuff. We have to pay through the nose. But
rightfully so. I mean,
fine,
you're moving.
Fine. Because, dude, yes, is it more expensive there? But the extra, I go there. I meet up with a guy blowing up on YouTube, right? He's like, oh, Dan, I've been following you for a while. I got this event we're doing, and I don't know how to pitch from stage. I'll give you half, man. Just come by and pitch him my product, my high ticket. So I go there. I talk for an hour. I make like 36 grand in commission. So
how many people at the event?
11.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude. Well, I can sell from stage. So, and he had a great offer. So the point is, I said to my mom calls me, right? And she's like, oh, you're moving to Dubai. Can you afford it there? And I'm like, because, it seems to be very expensive from the outside. And I said to her, I can't afford not to live here. The opportunity cost far outweighs the extra cost. And it's not even that bad because, yeah, you pay more for real estate and certain things, but then you get a full-time maid for $1,000 a month. You get a full-time driver for $1,000 a month. Like, it kind of evens out.
That's interesting. Yeah, one of the guys that he runs my sales team. I convinced him to spend another year here. He was about to pick up and go to Dubai. Yeah, and I was like, dude, we need to make a solid year here, stick around, and then you can go. And he resents me every day. He's like, dude,
because it's life is figured out. I'm not trying to trash the U.S. Don't get it wrong, right? But again, somebody came in here and messed the party up. This was a great country. Things were good.
Who's this magical somebody?
I don't know.
The tooth fairy?
I don't care. You know why? Because when I go to Dubai, you know what I stop thinking about? America. All right? Because life is so good in Dubai. I just don't want to think about this here. I get off the plane within an hour. I'm inundated. There's rainbows smacking me in the face. There's kids' book about masturbating. I don't want to even think about this, dude. It's horrible what they've done to this country. And if you dug up the founding fathers and put them in a seat and you explained to them what happened, I sincerely doubt they'd be like, oh, you don't like it? Leave. They'd be like, whoa, this was not what we meant, And what is America? Like you're from Canada, so I don't know how much you know about this because we learned it in school. It gets beat into our brains, but what is America? It's a bunch of British people who said, F the government. We don't want to be taxed. We don't want to be ruled. We don't want to be told what to do. So we're going to go over here and we're going to have our own party. That's America, okay? The colonies. Well, now it's like, okay, so we had something. It's good, but now we're getting taxed to death again. We're getting told what to do again. We're getting religiously oppressed again. So we want to leave. We want to go. Guys like me, to me, that's the most American thing you can do because that's what we did. That's what was America's founded on. And then you got these other people who are so brainwashed in America that they're like, oh, you're not a patriot. Oh, you're just gonna leave. It's like, bro, what do you think we were founded on? We said I'm out, And what they do is they gaslight you. They're like, oh, you're not a patriot if you don't support this madness and if you want to leave. It's like, no, dude, that's what America is. It's, look, we want to do what we want to do. We don't want to be taxed to death. And if you're not going to give us that, we'll find someplace else where we can have that. And right now that's Dubai. There's no taxes in Dubai.
It's interesting. When I came here, so growing up in Canada, it's a whole different world. I grew up as a conservative Canadian. Like what you would consider right wing in Canada. Yeah. And I come here, and the viewpoint I had was like pretty left wing, in comparison, right? As a right wing Canadian, and I come here, and I really moved here right before COVID, and I was just looked around, what the heck? And now then, slowly I'm I start sliding, apparently, across the the spectrum and
towards the right.
Yeah, of course. I mean, of course. Dude. Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
The thing is, the moment you look into anything, any depth of it, I can't have a conversation. You have a conversation with someone.
Baby, come to Dubai,
dude. You have a conversation Dubai, with someone who
don't even think about it. Get out of here. All right, the U.S. is the only country in the world that will tax you on your worldwide income. If you go to another country, You do not consume the resources of the United States. You make money in that country completely and independently there. The U.S. wants their money. Only country in the world to do that.
How do people typically handle that who do move?
So you
have an LLC there that makes the money? Is that typically how people do it?
Well, you either tax evade or you pay the man or you give up your citizenship. But here's the thing, and this is what people don't realize. If I invite you to my house, right, and I say, hey, let's hang out, and then you want to leave, and I say, well, no, you can't leave unless you pay me half of the money in your bank account. What would you call that?
We call that theft.
Theft is a great word. I would also call it maybe keeping you prisoner, right? Well, if you can't leave of your own free will, that is the opposite of the buzzword we use in the U.S., freedom, okay? If America is the freest country in the world, then why can't you leave of your own free will? You can't. That is the very Webster, okay?
Right.
It's the very opposite of freedom. So if you want to leave the United States, what they do is they look at your bank accounts, your cars, your houses. They evaluate your business, and they go, here's the number. Here's how much all that's worth. We want half in cash.
But it's the Facebook guy. What's the Edward Saverin rule?
Snowden or
no, the Facebook guy who co-founded Facebook. The reason that law exists is because when Facebook blew up, he left with billions of dollars, and the United States goes, "Oh shit, this could happen to other people."
And
then they created that law.
Dude, that's another thing. We overreact in America. Okay, if somebody trips and falls on pavement, they outlaw pavement. Okay, in Costa Rica, there was a guy who got eaten by alligators. He got drunk at a bar. There was a crocodile pond right next to the bar. The crocodiles didn't bother people. The people didn't bother the crocodiles. There was a big sign that said, "Don't mess with the crocodiles." This guy got drunk, went over and tried to wrestle a crocodile. And his friends tried to stop him. And he didn't listen. And you know what happened? He got eaten by a friggin' crocodile. Okay?
It's definitely the crocodile's fault.
Right. Yeah. So did Costa Rica put a big fence up? Did they shut down the bar? Did they outlaw? What? No, they just said he's an idiot and they moved on with life. Okay? We don't do that in America. Because that's true. Some people are just stupid. You made a mistake. Most people won't make that mistake. The end. Move on. We don't do that here. We overreact, and that's just another example.
How long have you been in Dubai now?
I was there for a month. Just put an offer in on a villa, got it accepted, and I'm here doing these podcasts, and I have to do a.
So you're getting ready to move officially?
Yeah,
move to Dubai.
My wife and son are there, so they're getting the house ready. She's furniture shopping. She's in heaven right now, right? She gets to decorate a 6,500 square foot villa in Dubai.
Congrats, dude. That's super exciting.
Thank you. And
I can feel your resentment to the United States right now.
It's not the United States. It's these assholes that messed up the United States.
If you look at the, I'm gonna defend the United States for a second because I just became a citizen, and I'm super grateful.
Cha-ching.
Sure. Yeah, they're cashing in. Dude, if you look at besides Dubai,
yeah.
Is there a better place in the world to live?
Yeah. Oh, you mean besides America?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where?
Well, Costa Rica, one, I think is better. I haven't been to all the countries.
And I'm genuinely asking you because I haven't lived in other places.
Okay, so obviously every country has its pros and cons, and I haven't been to every country, so I can't speak on that. But I have a lot of friends that have been, and
my business partner's been to every single country.
Okay,
period.
So some ones that I've heard that seem to be brought up a lot. Obviously, Dubai, Costa Rica is another one. A lot of people like Colombia, a lot of people like Turkey, a lot of people like Italy, a lot of people like Dominican Republicans on the come up, but you can get like a mansion for $5. So a lot of people like that. But Singapore, if you got the money. But it depends on what you like. Like, for instance, in Dubai, it's illegal to be rude to someone. You can't flip anyone off. You can't cuss anyone off. You go to jail.
That's the actual law.
Oh, yeah. If you flip somebody off in traffic, you're going to jail. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay? Because Dubai is where it's a place where you can't be an asshole. So not only do you hold yourself accountable to being a better person, like as soon as I got back to these States, everybody's like angry and just in a bad mood and just being mean to each other. And I'm just like, oh, now I'm starting to be angry and be mean to each other. But in Dubai,
I could tell.
yeah, I know. Trust me, I don't like it, you know? And I'm like I'm a better version of myself in other countries because that behavior is not acceptable. You know, we normalize it here. We normalize that behavior.
Some guy just flipping you off, driving by.
Totally
it's
normal.
crazy. It's like, dude.
Totally normal. I had a guy honk his horn for 60 seconds straight at me because I wasn't moving in the traffic fast. I mean, it's just immediate as soon as I landed. And it's sad because I grew up, I used to be a big America first guy, you know, like big America guy. And it's like if you had your best friend and you loved your best friend and your best friend was like, he was there for you. And then all of a sudden he gets drunk and starts beating his wife. And you're like, oh man, why?
Wouldn't you then defend it and try to fight for the version that you want though, and what you believe to be righteous?
Okay. What happens to people that do that here?
Yeah, you end up in jail or persecuted.
Yeah. So I thought about that, and I did that for a while, and my accounts got shadow banned, all this stuff. And then I thought about it. Wait a minute. What was America founded on? It was founded on bouncing. So I'm like, all right, here's me being American. Bye. You know, I mean, and that's the thing is, I wish I could stay and fight, but I got to think about my family. My wife is not American. My wife's from Turkey, so I have to think about her too. I can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna put you in a place where we're gonna have a worse life, simply because I have some brochure that was given to me as a child that was beaten in my head. You know, no, I got to think about them too. You know, America's not the only country in the world. It's not just about me. It's about my family too. My wife is way happier in Dubai. She doesn't get harassed in Dubai. She can walk down the street at 2 a.m. if she wants because there's zero crime. She's safer there. To me, that's freedom. My son can go to school without having all these horrifying ideas put in his head. Or if he has a bad day one day, they tell him he needs to be a girl. You know, it's like, that's not free to me. I'm not free to just live my life and chill, you know? But again, if you don't agree with this and you like that, that's fine. I'm not saying America sucks. I'm saying another country sucks less for me and my family.
You're talking about freedom, but you don't even let your kid eat cookies.
No, because and you know what? Every time I introduce my kid to other people, they always say the same thing, like, wow, your kid's only 5. He talks like he's 15 and he's so smart. Like, that's all these compliments I get. And one time this guy says to me, he's like, you have like a 1% kid. Like I very rarely see a 5-year-old. We took him into like a tutor place, and they assessed him and they were like, we don't see this. This kid is like way advanced. It's like a 1% kid. And I said, yeah, because I don't let him do 99% shit. I don't let him eat cookies and sugar. I don't let him watch TV. Like, he doesn't watch TV. He reads books at 5. Like, we'll be on the plane, he'll be reading the friggin' brochure. You know? And if you go back in time to before school, at least in the United States, you have a lot of children who went out and did amazing things like Mary Shelley, Beethoven, because they were educated by either their parents or in the community. They didn't have standardized...
Not the system.
Not the system. Once the system kicked in and John D. Rockefeller created the General Board of Education, which he said, I'm not in the business of making a nation of thinkers, I'm in the business of a nation of workers. Basically, I'm not going to teach you to be successful, I'm going to teach you to make other people successful.
The best
by being
long-term control mechanism.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's when it all went to hell. And so what we decided to do was say, okay, we're going to homeschool our kid, we're going to teach him ourselves, and we're going to teach him how we, as parents, we're going to teach him how we think he should be taught. If we don't want to feed him sugar, we're not gonna. If we don't want to feed him bad food, we're not gonna. There's no chicken nuggets. There's no hot dogs. That doesn't exist in our world. And there's also no TV. And if he does watch any sort of tablet or anything, it's all educational. The kid's one of the happiest kids you'll ever meet. He's one of the smartest kids you'll ever meet. And he's getting to travel the world and see all these things and experience all these amazing things. And I mean, I just think myself and my wife, we're better at educating them than the school system. I'm sorry, you know? I didn't learn. Think about this. You go to school. What do you learn? You learn a bunch of math you're never going to use. You learn a bunch of geometry and weird stuff you're never going to use. You learn stuff about rocks that you're never going to use. Unless you're slicing into my brain or defending me in court, school is not only a waste of time, a scam, but in my opinion today, it is one of the highest forms of child abuse. Sending your kid to school is child abuse. Because if you imagine if I said, hey, I want to take your kid and I want to send him to some radical, crazy person to indoctrinate him for 8 hours a day, teach him stuff he's never going to use, and set him up to not be successful, what would you call that other than child abuse? You know? Do you know why there's school bells in school? Do you know why?
What is it?
In the Industrial Revolution, during the Industrial Revolution.
Calling it quit or something? Or what was it?
No. During the Industrial Revolution, they had a shortage of factory workers. And you know, on a factory, they ring the bell. Where do you go? You go to the factory line. You go to the assembly line. Well, they started putting school bells in schools to program children to go to class when the bell rings, so that when they got out of school, they could go to the assembly line when the bell rings. It's all orchestrated.
Yeah, the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Sit in these desks,
Right.
sit here, do these one thing at a time.
I believe the most American, patriotic thing you can do is opt out of the system, because that is what we did. That is what we did. And so at every opportunity, if I don't like something about the system or society that dictates how I live, how I create a life for my family, how I teach my son to be a contributing member to society, then I opt out and I do it my own way. And it has worked fantastic so far.
Dude, very, very fascinating. So you had your son 5 years ago with your then wife,
Mm-hmm.
and then you told me you lost her for 5 years.
Yeah, I blew up in online business, got that internet money, and I went from being a pizza delivery boy for 7 years straight to being a multimillionaire, yachts, houses, cars, all that jazz. And I became obsessed with it. And I not only became not so much obsessed with the money, I wanted to be the best. I wanted to help the most people. I wanted to have the most millionaires that I could create from my programs. I wanted to be known as the best guy to go to for learning to sell and market and all this stuff. And so when you become obsessed with something, it's very hard to be good at the other things in life. It's hard to be a good father. It's hard to be a good husband. And so she had enough. We ended up getting divorced. 5 years we're divorced. And what do you do when you're male? You've been poor your whole life. You get rich. And now you're single. And you're in a really bad emotional state. You go all Jordan Belfort. So I bought a yacht. I got the girls on the yacht. I got the partying, all that. Did that for 2 years.
Didn't you have an ad at one point on the yacht?
Yeah, I did.
Dude, I remember
That ad smashed.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Well, it was a rap, wasn't it? Didn't you do a
So
rap?
have you ever seen the movie Step Brothers?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know the scene in the movie where it's called Boat. They do a music video.
Yeah.
And they got these two like old like burnout 45-year-old chicks.
Dude, I'm like flashing back to, I think you were like holding like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So this is what I did. So they do this video, Will Ferrell and the other guy, and they're like boats and hoes, and they're on this rinky-dink boat with these two like day shift stripper looking women, and it just intentionally looked bad, right? That was like the funny part of it. So we did. I had a $2 million yacht at the time, so it was not a rinky-dink boat. We had all these like models and stuff on the boat, and I called it. I hired a professional rapper to write me a rap, and I lip synced, and I called it "Book and Close." It was like "Book and Close," and I had like a piece of paper, and it said $500, $5,000, you know, and that we spent $10,000 making the video. We spent $17,000 in ads. We did $45,000 in ticket sales for a virtual event, and I did $850,000 in sales on the virtual event.
Webinar.
No, so webinar is like an hour or two, one time. Virtual event is like you do an hour a day for 5 days, or you do 3 to 5 hours a day for 2 days. And then you sell something super high, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand at the end. And that's honestly my bread and butter. That's where I've made the most money selling from stage, either someone else's stage or my own virtual event or in-person event. I've done $1 million a day 3 times with that.
Nice, man.
Yeah, that's been, bro. You learn words are everything, man. You learn to say the right words. That is just you control the world. You know, you control it.
I just got back from Miami. We did a mastermind, like my first one in a couple years. So I did a big event 2 years ago. We did over 7 figures in the 3-day weekend, in back of room sales. But I wasn't the one pitching. So this is the first event I've gone and pitched from. I've done tons of webinars.
Yeah.
So it's similar framework, but didn't hammer deals like I expected.
Yeah, dude, it's a different skill set. And you know what's funny is I got so good at it, that specific stage. They call it platform closing.
Mm-hmm.
It's called platform closing. I got so good at it that I started doing it for other people. Because the one thing I hated, right, when I had my first $1 million day, we signed up 34 people.
The fulfillment of it? Or?
Yeah, the fulfillment. It was 34 people into a $30,000 mastermind. I thought I would sign up like 5. It was a nightmare. It was great, but it was like we weren't ready for it. I don't like the fulfillment. And so I don't do a lot of events anymore because I know that I'm gonna have to do a bunch of work after I sell the stuff. So what I started doing was speech writing. I started helping write other people's events, and I'll go on and do the pitch. I go on, I get a percentage, I make a ton of money, and I only have to help them write it, and I talk for an hour. And then I leave, and I don't have to fulfill anything. And it's my favorite money.
Nice.
My favorite, because I'm like a ghostwriter, you know?
What's the minimum you'll do that for?
What do you mean minimum?
Like, let's say, for example, I'm having an event, and you're like, it's got to, in order for me to do this with you, Dylan, it needs to be worth, at least
you either got
X amount.
You got to, if you can get 300 people to an event, virtual or in person, paid, not freebies, paid people. So like a $97 ticket. I'll do something with you where I help you. I take a percentage, yada yada. If you can't get 300 people to an event, you pay me $50,000 for the day, and I tell you what to do and go do it. But I make more if I get a
we're sharing
percentage.
it. Yeah, of course.
But I'm not here to can I help you get traffic? Can I help you sell tickets? I can. I don't want to.
Yeah, you just want to show up, sell the offer.
Yeah, I want you to have an audience that you can monetize. You just don't know what to say on stage, and I do that. And I just don't want to get. And I we have several partners we do this for, and I hook them up with media buyers. I'll have calls with them and their media buyer. I'll discuss the ads. I'll do that. But I'm not going to sit here if you're a noob and you can't get anybody to the event and be like, all right, here I'm just.
And there's too much on you at that point.
I'm too old.
Yeah.
For that stuff.
Okay, sure.
I'm too old for that. Figure it out, dude. But to go back to the wife thing, so I don't end that on me partying on yachts with models.
What was the ROAS of that ad?
Well, I gave you the math. So 10 for the ad, 10 for the ad to make it 17 ad spend.
About 100. About
27.
100x.
Well, no, because
you made about $1 million. After.
Well, I made $45,000 in ticket sales.
Yeah, but you did $800K in the
event. Yeah. So whatever. I don't know.
You had a 100x yacht video.
Yeah.
And then realized that wasn't it and went back to
the ad was great.
No, your wife though.
But
you realize that's not the life.
No. It wasn't the ad. It was what happened after the ad. Forget the ad. The ad was great because it was a parody on a movie. Okay, I would have done that anyway. I'm talking about the fact that wasn't the only day I was on a yacht with girls. Okay, the problem is that I lived that Jordan Belfort lifestyle. That and these gurus out here, these male red pill guys. It's like, bro, you ain't happy. Like, I get it. 85% of what you say, yeah, you got a point. But you ain't happy. You'd be happy with a good wife.
Like Tate?
Well, his content's different now because he converted to Islam. So he's way more like family. I'm pretty sure he has a wife. He just doesn't talk about her, which is very Islamic. You do not show your wife in Islam. You don't.
Also doesn't talk about his kids. He has a lot of them.
You don't do that either. Okay, because it's for protection.
I see a lot of guys that move to Dubai, they do that because the network there, everyone, you got to be careful what you talk about and that drinking and women and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, you can't get drunk in the streets and act like an asshole. You have to drink in a hotel. Dubai is great for like family people, and I guess you can party there if you want. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't. I did then, in my yacht days. But the thing is, I would go home at the end of the day after having 10, 15 girls, all 9s and 10s on a yacht, partying, all that, and I would just be severely unhappy crazy unhappy. And you think about it, it's like as a man, you think that's the highest form. If when you get all the flash, cash, money, cars, right? My Lamborghini, worst car I ever had, killed my back, right? The days with the girls in the yacht, depressing. And I just realized, like, dude, I want my wife back. Like, she was the best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah, we had our problems, because we never had deep problems. We just bickered, because she's a lawyer. She was a lawyer in Turkey, and I'm not the easiest person.
Yeah.
I'm me. So we would just bicker about dumb stuff. Like, we would have like the same fight over taking out the trash that people would have over, like, budgeting, or like the getting cheated on. Or
you take it out.
Yeah. It was just like, no, we would go deep. We would give analogies, and we would.
Oh, you wouldn't be yelling. It'd be like.
It would be like
it'd
this.
be like a courtroom argument.
Yeah, it was stupid, and we were young, and so 5 years later, I quit drinking. I had roughly $10,000 worth of alcohol, because I took the alcohol off the yacht when I sold it, because I'm a cheap bitch, and I put it in my penthouse in St. Pete. So like probably 10 grand worth of alcohol. I filmed the video.
Same alcohol you took off the shelf at the bar when you.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's illegal. But I poured it all out. Poured every drop out. And my father was like, "Why didn't you give me some of that?" I had like $2,000, there was a couple like $2,000 I poured them out, because I needed that commitment to myself. Haven't drank since, and haven't lived that lifestyle since. And I decided I'm going to get my wife back. Now I'm a sales guy, sales and marketing. I know the power of no. You just got to get enough no's, you'll get a yes. I asked my wife 314 times to remarry me. She said no. First time, she said she'd rather light herself on fire. 314th time, she said yes. And we got back together. We've been remarried a year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm way happier now than I ever was with cars and yachts. I still have nice houses. I still have nice cars. But I'm not doing that whole thing. I'm not Wolf of Wall Street friggin' lifestyle. That stuff is really what it is you have problems. If you're a man and you're living like that, you have problems. And you're using extreme dopamine to deal with those problems. You're a drug addict. You're just addicted to the drug that your brain produces when you do a bunch of crazy stuff. And if you can't admit that, you throw all this red pill BS at me you want. No, you're a drug addict. That's what you are. And when you can admit that, you can change your life.
Dude, I love that. I stopped drinking like about 4 or 5 months ago. I was at the point where I was like going home after working a long day, and I'd like have a crack a beer open myself. I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Yeah. And I set certain targets. I'm not going to drink until I hit these targets. Haven't hit them yet, but I believe when I do, it's not going to change. I'm just going to.
Yeah, I read some article. I don't know if it's true or not. Something about when you drink a single drink of alcohol, it takes like roughly 3 to 4 months for your body to fully detoxify. Yeah, especially up in the brain. Because stuff, dude, there's stories of people who do LSD back in the 70s. They're walking down the street, back cracks, they start tripping because there's that molecule or something still in their head. So if you think about it, it makes sense that alcohol would stay in your system for a long, long time and affect you for a long, long time. Most people, they're I didn't have a drink all week. I can have a drink. Bro, that stuff ain't nowhere near out of you yet, So, yeah, I don't like drinking. Nothing good comes of drinking. This is coming from somebody that's owned 2 bars. Nothing good comes of drinking. Nothing.
What's interesting is, like, I've noticed a lot of people who sell from stage or platform closing, they understand people really well. They understand psychology, and you're talking to a room of people. What's the difference between doing like a 1-to-1 call versus speaking to 100 people and closing?
Well, so I do a lot of the same things on a one-on-one call. It's just you get the see, on a one-on-one call, you can directly address that person's issues because you're only dealing with that person. When you sell from stage, it's a much higher level of selling because now you have to orchestrate being able to deal with 100 people or 200 or 300 people simultaneously without individually speaking to them. And there's a lot to it, man. Like, if you want to go deep, you ever record your speeches?
Yeah.
Turn the camera around. Record.
Oh, interesting.
Record the faces of the audience. Then listen to your speech. And every single time you see people start looking around, pick up their phone, that you said something at that point that you need to fix because you lost their interest. So I did this for a long time, and the guy that I did the pitch for in Dubai comes up to me. He says, I've never seen, like, not a single person during your entire speech picked up their phone. Not once. Nobody picked up their phone. They were all like this. Now, that's not because I'm good. It's because I did what I just told you a bunch of times until I figured it out. Like, people are under the impression that you have to be super talented. And look, there are some people out there that are super talented that can just have no work ethic and they can win. I'm not that person. I need the data. I need the experience. And so for me, I'm not better than anybody at anything. I just have more data. I just know the answer because I've taken the test 500 times. And I like to tell people that because it now you realize it's possible. You realize it's possible. And for me, man, the greatest advice I ever got about getting rich was from a billionaire, which makes sense, right?
Sure.
I was working for this sales company years ago, and this guy named Jeff, legit billionaire, big deal guy, he owned like 7 companies, all housed in the same building. And every day, he would buy lunch for all the employees. Big truck would come in, all this food. He would sit down and have lunch with everybody. Like, he'd rotate around. One day, I got to sit next to him, and I said to him, Jeff, can I ask you a question? He's like, yeah, sure. How do I get rich? I want to buy my mom a house. I want to buy my dad a house. How do I get rich? And he's like, okay, how many books do you read a week on money, business? I said, none. And he looks at me and he goes, well, then you don't want to get rich. I said, well, what do you mean? Who doesn't want to get rich? I want to get rich. He's like, no. People who want to be doctors, they go to medical school, right? People who want to be pilots, they go to flight school. People who want to get rich, they read books on how to get rich. You don't read any books on how to get rich, so you don't want to get rich. You figure that out, that's your first step. I didn't listen to this advice for like 5 years, and I was broke as a joke. One day, I got in a bad situation. I bought a bar because I was buying and selling businesses. That's where I got started. I don't know if most people don't know this. I don't talk about it. I started flipping businesses. I started with like an Italian ice cart. Bought it, fixed up the little cart, like painted it, did some shows with it, and then sold it.
Did you know how to run ads at the time?
No.
Okay.
This was like Craigslist days. And
because you talked about running ads for your bar.
Well, that's how I learned marketing. Was I worked my way up to buying a bar and restaurant, and I got it for a good deal, basically nothing. It was off the beaten path. It wasn't on a main road. Horrible location. 40 years that bar failed. Every owner that owned it failed and had to sell it, or it got shut down. I learned Facebook ads and social media marketing. I made the town come to the bar. And in a year, I sold it for a $300,000 profit. I was the only person in the history of that town to ever succeed with that bar.
Did it fail after you, or did it?
Hell yeah, it failed after me. It's had like 4 owners. They all failed. Most people own a bar to have it as a playground. I owned a bar to have business. I never drank at the bar, ever. I'm there to make money. I'm not there to friggin' party with you, bro. Like, I want your money, right? So then, I make this money. Well, my accountant who's doing all the books and the taxes for it, because when you go from being kind of broke to making $300,000 like that, IRS is like, well, what's going on, Well, the accountant that I had putting that all together dies in the middle of my taxes. I can't get access to any of the documents because the family's all distraught and all this stuff. And I didn't want to, be pushy. It's a bad time for them. So the IRS sues me for $250,000. And
did they sue you, or did they just say, "Hey, pay us the money"?
Well,
or it's effectively the same thing.
It's effectively the same thing. I was actually able to mitigate that and get it down to $50,000 later because I ended up making money and hiring a lawyer, and he negotiated with them. So I got out of it way later. It takes a long time, but at the time I'm like, oh my God, plus I made a bad investment. I lost that $300,000. We couldn't even buy food. I had a t-shirt company that I still had some gear from. I made $1 water bottle shirts, went out and I tried to sell water on the side of the road to pay the electric. And my wife says to me, she's like, Dan.
Your current wife.
Current wife, right? I only had one, just twice. She says, Dan, look, I'm going to be honest with you. You suck at business, but you're great at getting customers for a business. But you suck at all the other stuff, right? You make bad investments. But every time you say, hey, buy from me, people buy. Why don't you just help other businesses get customers? So I took what I learned from growing that bar, and I went out and I started a marketing agency. I got clients. We started making like 20, 25 grand a month from dead broke. Got back on our feet. Like 6 to 8 months later, of course, everybody's hitting me up. Hey, how do you do that? How are you making all this money? I'm like, oh, maybe I should release a course. She says again, she's like, why don't you teach people? I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Release a course. We do like 100 grand the first month. I'm like, what? I'm like, whoa. And I didn't have to work with clients. You know, so I did that. And then we did like 2.9 that year. To date, I think 30, 35, I stopped counting. And I've had some $1 million day. You know, it just went crazy from there. And yeah, it's been a wild ride.
So. Yeah, that's cool, man. What are you, how are you structuring your offers now? You know, one thing I've noticed is I feel like the marketplace has changed a lot.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot more fear in the marketplace. People have been burned by, you know, X number of gurus.
Yeah.
How are you structuring your offers? And
well, first of all, I'm dating right now. I've got some offers that are paying the bills, and you know, I had a sales company and I sold it, and
like sales placement or kind of
sales management. So we would manage your sales team.
Okay.
And I hated it, and the reason I hated it, because believe it or not, you know, the yacht videos and all that, I'm an annoyingly ethical person. I've literally had people tell me, like, I had a very big guru. Think of the biggest guru you can possibly think of. I won't name them because it would just be inappropriate. But their team reached out to me and they're like, hey, we've seen you've won a lot of affiliate contests. We'd like you to promote this thing. And I mean, this is one of those people that when they reach out to you, you're like, oh my God, this is great. And I told them, I said, I don't want to. And they're like, why? I'm like, because I think your shit sucks. I saw the first version. It was trash. I don't think it's good. I didn't say it was trash, but I'm like, I don't think it's very good. No, thank you. I don't think my list will like it. You know, and I was just honest. And I'm just like that, dude. I will not sell my people something that sucks. I just won't. That's why when I had my first biz op, it did well and I had no complaints because I worked really hard to make sure people got results. Really hard. And when I had my sales agency, dude, let me tell you something about this industry. This industry is all BS. All of it. I had 7 and 8 figure guru after 7 and 8 figure guru sign up to our service to manage their sales team. I'm like, all right, what's the webinar? Oh, look, we make $1 million a month. I'm like, oh, cool. They make $1 million a month. This should be easy.
They made $1 million 1 month or close to.
No, they didn't make no.
Everyone has the highest number.
No, bullshit. They didn't make $1 million a month. They just didn't.
They're just straight lying?
I know. They're lying. Okay? And this is what really aggravated me. Countless people would sign up to our service. And I'd be like, all right, you need 5 sales reps. Well, no, we just need 1. Like, what do you mean you need 1? You can't do, no. Like, 1 rep's going to do, a good rep will do 2, maybe 250 a month. Average rep's going to do 150, you know, for your price point. Like, no, you need like at least 5. No, we need 1. I'm like, well, you said you're doing $1 million a month. I watched your webinar. Oh, no, we're doing 90 grand a month. I'm like, whoa, so I'm supposed to manage your team, right? Then we'd have people where, and some clients were good. Don't get me wrong. But most of them were divas, terrible. We double their sales. Then they'd come in and they decide that they want to change the offer or whatever. And I was like, I don't like you people. Like, this sucks. This whole thing sucks. You guys are all lying. You all read one Russell Brunson book and then you thought you knew everything and then you just made a whole career out of it. Dude, I've read everything. I've read every Dan Kennedy book. I've studied the amount of hours I've put in to learning this craft. When I realized that nobody does that, I was like, well, I don't want to help you people. I don't want to help you. Sorry, you suck, and I don't want to help you because I feel bad about them taking money from people, and I'm teaching them to do it. And so I said, I'm done. So what we shifted the offer to just helping business owners do their own sales. And at that point, I wanted out, and so I sold the company to my partner because I had a partner in it. He changed it to a personal development thing. and there was like 18 employees. Well, you can't sell a company and keep the employees. So employees go. So at my original company, GetClients.com, which is the info and the coaching, I only had like 2 people. So I'm on skeleton crew, right? So I'm like, all right, I got to friggin' speed things up here. I can't be messing around. So I started using AI to like help us out with marketing and all these stuff. And dude, I got addicted. I spent 6 weeks, like 10 hours a day doing this AI thing, and figuring out prompt engineering. And we ended up going nuts with it. We went all the way with it. We developed our own software that doesn't use the ChatGPT data because I have better data. I've been doing this for 10 years. I know what works. ChatGPT, write me a sales letter in the voice of Dan Kennedy. Okay. This is the no BS guy. Like, it's like, no, like, okay.
Even if you feed it, like I've fed it like,
no.
What was like the new, the old, like I've fed it sales letters. It can never pump out proper.
You gotta,
can't read that
gotta
data.
have well-organized proprietary data and a lot of it. And I've spent millions of dollars on advertising and I've tested every marketing framework and I got stuff that you can't find anywhere else because it's from my experience. And when we created an AI software that we use internally and we give it to some of our clients, and this is where a lot of marketers are going to be pissed at me. We made this thing so good. We did a test. We sold 300 books where we said, listen, we'll write your lead magnet. We made an offer. We'll write your lead magnet for $500, which is like, that's super cheap. We used our software to do it. Not a single person complained and said, oh, this sounds like AI. Not a single person. So I was like, all right, screw these gurus, screw these marketers who are just full of crap. Let's take that software. Let's create a new offer where I'm like, look, are you a normal everyday person? You know that business owners are getting completely screwed by marketers. They're charging them crazy prices. The small businesses can't afford it. They need help getting more customers. They need help with emails. They need help with social media. They can't afford it. I'm going to show you, who doesn't know anything about marketing, to get these clients, be able to serve them and do their emails and their social media marketing for way cheaper so they can afford it. You can use our AI to do it for them. So you don't even have to know how to market. You don't have to know copywriting. And you have to just do this. You just have to push a button. They get it cheaper. They have affordable marketing that's good, probably better than a lot of these guys. You're making money. Everybody wins. And I get to help my favorite people in my career to help. And that's newbies. Because newbies, you help them quit their job, they love you forever. I help a coach add 200 grand a month to their business or even 50. They're like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to change my offer and I'm going to sell a clothing line now. And it's like, screw you, dude. Like, and I still like helping coaches and consultants, but I like helping the guys that are a little bit newer. The top guys, they're not grateful, and a lot of them are just full of crap. I'm just being honest with you.
So these guys, you go and they'll do an ad and they'll say, hey, look, I'm doing $4 million a month, or you think it's all BS?
First of all, if you're doing $3 million a month, you're spending $1 million a month on FTC compliance and staff, okay, at least. But you're right. They probably made 1 or 2 million once, if anything. The only guy I know that's pushing real numbers and isn't lying about it is Myron Golden. But he also sells from stage.
Yeah, he runs the challenge model, right? Where so he'll run ads to like self-liquidating to super low ticket.
Well, he
challenge.
also charges like 350 grand to take a private jet with him somewhere, and he sells like a ton of those. So making $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a month, when you're selling those, it racks up. But then you got to. I mean, I was on a jet with him once. He invited me on.
Only 250,000.
No. Well, I help. See, when you help people, this is why. Look, let me tell you something. The greatest way to ensure that you always have money is to help people make money. Because if you pick up your phone right now, or if the average person picks up their phone right now, do you have 10 people or even 5 people that you could say, hey man, I need 100 grand. Can you spot me? Most people would say no. And the truth is because we believe that the money that we have in the bank is our net worth. It's not. It's the money we have access to. And so if you have a bunch of rich people that believe in you if you ever run into a snag, you're good to go.
So you could have $1 billion network, but not net worth.
Right.
And then that gives you net worth by having $1 billion network.
I'll give you a perfect example. Years ago, there was this guy named Joseph Aaron, and he had no money. It was right before Christmas. He bought one of my programs for $1,000. Because, people will ask me, well, Dan, if you're so good at this, why don't you just do it yourself? Why do you teach people? Blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you why. This guy buys my program for $1,000. He goes out. He gets his first client on Christmas Eve. He didn't have any money to buy his kids Christmas presents. He gets his first clients, gets paid, runs out, buys Christmas presents, and has a great Christmas for his kids. And that to him was everything. And he went on to have a really successful agency. He was so grateful to me. I invited him to come to my event, share his story, blah, blah, blah. But years later, he got into stage selling. And he ended up crushing it as a stage seller. So I got into stage selling. I started working with Myron and Pat Quinn and these guys. And I hold an event. It was COVID. Right at the beginning of COVID, I had a live event plan. Couldn't do it. Had to do it on Zoom. Had 158 people coming. And Joe reaches out to me and he says, listen, I'm doing really good with stage selling. I'm doing really, really good. Do you want some help? Let me MC for you. I said, okay, man, sure. And he's like, I'm not going to charge you anything. I'm so grateful for that Christmas Eve. I'm just going to help you. He comes on. He helps me. We do $1 million in a day.
He's who you learned from.
No, I learned from Myron and Pat Quinn on stage selling. At that time, just Myron. But dude, it was my first event. Like, it's good to have an MC. It's good to have some. Joe came in who had already been learning from Myron for longer than me and kind of like helped me, put it all together. He was the MC for it, so we were vibing off each other. And a large portion of why that was $1 million event was because of him. And then I was able to go off on my own and do $1 million events because I saw how it was orchestrated. Well, he didn't ask me for a dime. I sent him some money anyway, but he didn't ask me for a dime. He was just grateful for that Christmas that I was able to help him get his kids presents. So the reason why I help people is because I know
you have an army of people that will help you.
Yes, because the amount of people who are now crushing it, who reach out to me and help me now, I have a story almost every week about that. And it's because I helped people so much in the beginning. So that's why I do that. And if you can just start doing that now, and look, the best people to help is small business owners. Because when you help small businesses, eventually some of those become big businesses. And now you got friends in high places.
Would you say Myron's the best person? There's not a lot of stuff on platform closing.
No.
Like I've been trying to learn this stuff for a long time, and there's not much out there.
No, there's not. Well, look, here's the funny thing about Myron, right? I saw Myron speak at an event where I thought he was doing terrible because he was saying all this weird stuff about birds puking into their kids' mouths and stuff. We didn't say that, but he's like the mama bird and the baby bird.
Yeah, they feed him through
whatever. And I'm like, what does this have to do with business, And this dude pulls $200,000 out of a room of 15 people. I'm like, what the fuck? Because I thought he was bombing.
It was a paid event?
It was a paid event. There was like 15 people there. I was speaking, and I felt bad for the event organizer. I'm like, how is he going to make any money with 15 people? Myron, and he didn't. He didn't make any money. He pitched, didn't make anything. Myron gets up there, talks about birds flapping and all this weird stuff, and then everybody buys. He makes like 220 grand out of 15 people. I was like, what? So I go up to Myron. I'm like, bro, sorry, my lips are dry as hell. I was on a 10-hour flight, and then
dude, I got back at 1
Vegas.
I got
so
1
dry.
a.m. this morning from Miami. So, dude, I feel you, bro. I might.
Yeah.
You have a hard stop, by the way?
No.
Okay. Cool.
Well, Joe knows.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So Myron, I walk up to Myron. I'm like, can you teach me how you did that? And he's like, did what? I'm like, you just talked about nothing, and everybody gave you money. What? Like, how did you do that? And he's like, blah blah blah. I golf 6 times a week, so that'd be all this stuff. And I'm like, just let me pay you, right? Like, so he had a 2-day event. It was like 50 grand. I think it's like way more now. It's like 150 or 200 or something. I buy it. I get there. Now, most people, if you pay $50,000 for a 2-day event, your expectation is that they have everything laid out for you. Everything is like in order. It's very organized. No. I get there. It's Myron, a whiteboard, and this very thin workbook. That's it. And I'm like, oh my God, right? But what he was teaching was so good, I didn't care. And so I started taking feverish notes, went out, did the event with Joe, made $1 million in a day, and then did that several other times. And, you know, the thing about people is you got to remember, man, if I pay you 50 grand and you are able to teach me a skill that'll make me $1 million every time I want it, that's worth a lot. That's a low ask, you know, even though I think he charges way more for it now. And so the point is that people often complain about the wrong things. They want their courses, I just don't learn that way. Shut up. Shut up, okay? I'll put you in a room with crap on the walls, a pen that barely works, and a stone to write notes. And if I charge you 50 grand and I teach you $1 million a day skill, shut up, take the money. And that's the problem with people. They have these crazy expectations that are just out of sync with reality, right? So I didn't complain about it. I just opened my ears and learned, and it helped me dramatically. And now I do speech writing for people, and I make royalties like crazy, you know? So all from that, you know? My father said, I told my father about this. He says, you spent 50 grand on a 2-day event. Didn't I teach you better? Because he didn't learn about money. He didn't learn the real way to learn about money, you know? My entrepreneurial friends.
Is he wealthy?
No, I pay for his whole life. You know, I learned other things from my dad. My dad was an artist. I learned most of my creativity and my humor from my dad. He was a DJ on Daytona Beach.
So he's quite funny.
Oh, God, yeah. You know, but not a money guy. And most people think about what things cost. That's what poor people do. Rich people think about what things cost if they don't do them. And so my entrepreneurial friends were like, wow, you turned 50 grand into millions. It's all about perception, you know? So I don't know what tangent we went off there on what question.
So what is it? What's the framework that goes into selling from stage to make it successful? For webinars, it's like, you know, the 3 things, blah, 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 like, you know, typical perfect webinar structure is kind of like the framework a lot of people use. Mm-hmm. How do you structure a talk to sell from stage effectively?
Without taking 7 hours to teach you that, I'll say it like this.
We can cancel the next meeting. And just
who's easier to get to go to church, a Christian or an atheist? Christian, right? Why?
They already believe.
They already believe in God. So if you are trying to convince an atheist to go to church, what do you kind of have to convince them of first?
God.
That there's a God. You don't have to tell Christians to go to church. You don't have to persuade Christians to go to church because people who believe in God go to church. That's just what they do. So when you sell from stage, what you're really doing is you're teaching people how to become a completely different person, and that person just buys your product as a natural byproduct of being that person. Because a person, let's get scientific here. What is a person? What is an identity? What is a personality? It's a collection of hundreds and hundreds of perceptions. How you see the world is who you are, right? If I look at this room right here, I could see this room as amazing. Wow, this guy spent all this money and all this lighting. This looks great. Or I could look at all this and I could be like, this is annoying. I don't like these lights. Or I could look at this room. Like there's 1,000.
The floor is dirty, whatever.
Right? There's so many different ways that you can look at anything. You combine those hundreds or those thousands.
Joe's dying over here.
Yeah. That's a person. It's a collection of ways you look at the world. So when you go have an event, you don't teach tactics because people forget tactics. They don't value tactics. A tactic goes in one file in the brain. This is called schema theory, by the way. It's scientific. You teach a tactic, it goes in one file in the brain and gets lost. If you think back to your teachers, do you remember the teachers that taught you something cool, or do you remember the teachers that fundamentally changed how you view the world?
The second one.
Yes. When you teach a principle, when you teach a new way to view the world, what it does is in your brain, it connects multiple files. When it connects multiple files, now the tactics make sense. Now you see the world different. Now you remember that person. If I can make you see the world different in 10 to 12 ways, not thousands, just 10 to 12, I can effectively change who you are as a person enough to where you will now buy my product without any objections. So I'll give you an example. the one that we did where I did the yacht video, that was called the Raise Your Prices Challenge. The whole idea behind that challenge was you have a product right now, you charge this much, I'm going to show you how to charge this much, right? I was selling a $20,000 high ticket seller boot camp where I would teach them how to sell their high ticket offer. Well, you will not sell a high ticket offer if you don't think you can sell a high ticket offer. You don't think it's worth it. If you don't think there's a market for it, blah, 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 right? So here's one little bit I did. I said, I want you to imagine that there's 10 of your ideal customers walking on a beach. And they come across a genie lamp and they rub the lamp and out pops a genie. But this genie's a capitalist. He says, I'm only going to grant one wish to one of you and I'm going to make you bid on it. If that wish was to solve the exact problem that your program solves, that your offer solves, how high would that bid get? How much would they bid? Write it down, right? So now everybody in the audience, they're writing it down. Call it out. 50,000, 100,000. Some people will say 500,000, 1 million. And then I say, okay, now next to that number, write down what you currently charge. And they go, 500, 2,000. 1,000. And I go, if the number is drastically different, then I ask you this. How can you expect your customers to know your worth if you don't know your worth? Mm. And see, what that makes them realize is they now view the world differently. Like, wait a minute. My customers, if they believe in my offer enough, will pay more. They will. It's me that's the problem. It's me that doesn't think I'm worth. And so now that's just one little teeny tiny little perspective shift that when I add all those up over the course of a 5-day event, 3-day event, whatever, now they're like, wow, I can charge more. Wow, I can charge $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 for my offer. So paying Dan 20 grand makes total sense. I would be a moron not to, right? Versus, oh my God, it's 20 grand, you know? So that's like a super quick version of it, but that essentially is one of the core pillars of platform clothing. You have to create a new person.
A lot of people come and they're like, just get to the point already. Like, and there's all these build up and they want, and maybe they're not the buyer, maybe they just need to leave, right? But do you ever get that?
No. You only get that if you suck at selling from stage.
I've never gotten that, actually. Now that you mention it, no.
Because that is all about frame. Like, one of the best lines, I learned it from my buddy Shakir. I forget who he learned it from. Probably like he learned it from somebody who learned it from somebody, a famous stage guy, or at least a well-respected stage guy. If you start out, you always want to start out the event with a question or something that makes them ponder on something. So for instance, like if I come out and I say, I'll give you 2 examples. I come out and I say, if you could erase the 3 worst financial decisions of your life, how rich would you be right now? Okay? Now it poses a question. And it's like, well, oh my God, I'd be really rich, right? So can we agree that what is going to, really make you a lot of money isn't necessarily this or that tactic, but it's making better decisions. That's what I'm going to teach you to do today, right? So here's another story that'll blow your mind. You know Russell Brunson, right? I end up winning this affiliate contest. I go to this Dan Kennedy event as a prize. Russell comes up to me, hands me this thick book, and he goes, hey, man, I want to give you a gift. I'm like, okay, what is it? He says, well, I went back, I bought Dan Kennedy's company. I went back. I found all these old events and masterminds that he charged 10, 20 grand for, and I got the transcripts from them, cleaned them up, and I made this big marketing Bible. I'm like, bro, this is amazing. How much are you going to charge for this? He's like, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm going to do with it yet. You know, Russell, he's got like 50,000 things going on. Yeah. So I go, bro, you could charge $1,000 for this. He's like, no, you can't charge $1,000 for a book. I'm like, I could sell for $2,000. I'll sell for $2,000. He's like, no, you can't. I'm like, yeah, let me do a 3-day event, hour a day. Call it the Write Like Dan Challenge. I'll sell this book for $2,000, guarantee you. He's like, no, you can't. I'm like,
before you even said that, by the way, I was like, oh shit, like, dude, how do I get my hands on this? Like exactly. 10 G's. I was like, before you even mentioned $1,000, I was thinking like 10. I was anchored way up here.
Yeah. I practice it in conversation podcasts. I'll talk to my mom about the new toilet I'm getting, and I'll hook her. You know, like I practice it at every point in my life. The only one person I can't practice on is my wife. She's immune to it. She's like, okay, Dan, you know, but
You should do this as an offer. You should teach people how to do this.
I don't want to teach people. I want to write your speech. I want to get a cut. I've had way too many people walk up to me and say, Dan, I bought your $10,000 program. I make $2 million a month. No, bro, I'm getting more than 10 grand. I'm old. I'm not doing this no more. I will help you directly, but I get a cut. That's what I do now for that, for the speeching. I learned that. We had a come to Jesus moment. We had at least 3 people come up to me who are making over $1 million a month and say, Dan, I just
come over here.
I literally said, Joe, remember that? This is how it came to be. So,
Guys,
yeah,
this is Joe.
Yeah, this is my COO, Joe. So remember, $1 million a month, $2 million a month, and then the one guy with the e-com offer, $3 million a month. Yeah. And he says to me,
Ties go to 5.
he goes, and Dan, I've only ever bought one program, and it was your program for 10 grand. And did you see the look on my face?
Yeah, it was horror.
It was horror.
Yeah.
I was happy for him.
Of course.
But it was horror because I'm like, why am I like I'm undercharging? Oh, 10 grand is a lot for a course. Not if you make $3 million a month, dickhead. Okay. So I just said no more of this. So the very first client that we took on for the speech writing thing, he made a mistake on the first event and he only got 60 people to it because his ad account got shut down. But Joe, how much did we do in that event?
Little over 200K.
What was the ticket price?
He does 18K, 22.
Oh, for the event.
Yeah,
97?
that event,
Was it 97?
97 to show up.
97 to show up. Yeah.
Yeah.
97 to show up. Yeah.
What is it? What do you like if you're running ads? You're doing it the right way. What would a $97 ticket cost you to get someone to buy?
You just want to break even. I mean, I've done 3x, 4x, but I'm good.
If you're breaking, so spending $200 for 97 is you
No,
should
because you have a
the KPI is like breaking
1-to-1. Yeah, you
liquidate.
have a 297 VIP,
Oh, okay.
and so that helps.
Is that a bump or is that on
You
the
just give 'em 2
confirmation page?
options. You give them 2 options.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't go crazy with
The
that.
2 options doesn't confuse.
No, because look, nobody buys from general admission. Everybody that buys the main offer, or if I say I'm going to teach you this thing, you can just watch for 97, or you can watch and ask questions for 297. You're kind of a douche if you don't take the 297.
Oh, it's a virtual.
Virtual, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. You're kind of a douche because you're like, I'm going to sit here for 5 hours and listen, but I'm not going to pay $200 extra to be able to ask questions. That's dumb, right? So we're getting him a mic, and eventually we'll get him a chair.
No chairs needed.
But you know what I'm saying? Like you're like, and it makes sense because the people that buy, 95% of them are people from VIP. Okay, so you have to have a VIP, and I'm not trying to trash the general admission people, but it's like if you're serious, you're not going to care about the extra $200 to be able to ask questions live, So most come from VIP. You get a few from general. But anyway, so I tell him, look, man, I can sell this book for $2,000. And he's like, no, you can't. So I go home. 3 weeks later, I text Russell. And I write a sales letter for the challenge. And I send it to him. I'm like I've got to sell this book because I read it. It was amazing. So I send him a sales letter for the challenge. And he texts me back. And he just goes, all right, man, that was really good. Let's do it. So they let me
How long does it take you to write a sales letter? A couple days?
No, it took me an hour.
Bro, it's like
I write sales letters while I take a shit. That's all I... Ask Joe, what do I do all day?
Take a shit.
Like, yeah, that, I eat a lot of protein. But seriously, what am I doing all day?
That pitching, sales letters, just flushing all things sales out.
Yeah. Hey,
flushing it all out.
Why do you think you can charge more for this can of LaCroix when it's really just sparkling water? Well, it's the same reason how the owner of Patron turned a well liquor company into $1 billion company. He had this well liquor and nobody was buying it. So he ended up pouring out all the liquor into new bottles that looked fancier, and he changed the name. And even though it was well liquor, he 5x'd the price and he made $1 billion company out of it. Why? Because packaging matters. People bought it not because it was better liquor, but because it looked like better liquor. So every time you pay $8 for a shot of Patron, you're drinking well tequila, okay? And that's why marketing and packaging is important. Like I just do it. I just see an object and I just make a pitch, and I do it all day, every day. It's my freaking life. So that when I go to do something like that, I don't have to take 2 weeks to write a sales letter because I am a sales letter. It's what my brain is. That's how I can. You can put me on any stage, no prep. I will sell better than somebody who prepped for 3 months, unless it's Myron or somebody like that. But anyway, he lets me do this 3 hours. I do 1 hour a day for 3 hours, and it was a free challenge. And he barely promoted it because I don't think he thought it would work. Not only did I sell that book for $2,000, I sold 122 copies for $2,000. And the team there, they were like, the team at Magnetic Marketing, they were just like, oh, we've never seen this before. Almost 100% retention through the whole event, free.
Should have had the team from there read that book because
well, they know the book back, but there's nothing in the book about stage selling. Stage selling is a whole different. Yeah. And so after that was what gave me the initial idea because I got paid a great royalty. I still get a royalty because they run an evergreen, so I get paid all the time by that. And I'm like, wait a minute, I write something once. Because royalties, dude, royalties. Like, think about it. There are washed up drug addict musicians who can't sing a note because they put too much cocaine up their nose. And they still get a check every week because their stuff plays on streaming and all this, And I was like, dude, I need to do this. And then I see Alex Hormozi, right? Oh, I'll consult your company and you give me, I don't have anything to sell you. Except taking a huge chunk of your company, which is a great pitch, by the way.
And charging you $50K to do an assessment.
Yeah, does he do that now?
I don't know. I don't know what the stack is, but I know they have an in-office day now. They're selling for $3K, and then they're selling something there.
All I'll say about Alex is the guy is brilliant at framing.
He's phenomenal at that. Yeah. And Layla is amazing at running companies.
Yeah, that's who's the real. Yeah, she keeps. Joe's my Layla. I don't think you look as good in lipstick though.
No,
I need a Layla.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
Everyone needs.
Everyone needs a Layla.
Yeah, especially if you're wild and crazy, visionary, and all over the place.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm a mess. I'm a psycho. He's the guy that keeps me.
I'm the one that loves seeing the finances flow in from all those royalties. Like, hey, I just wanted to let you know we got paid today. It's like, oh, for what now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We have this conversation all the time.
Yeah.
But that's like that royalty thing. Like Alex does. I just like, what am I the best at? I'm the best at speaking. So I'm not the best in the world. I mean, best in my skill set. And so I can tell you exactly what to say to make people give you a ton of money. That's what I've always been good at. Pitches, video sales letters, stage, just your general offer frame, right? People used to pay me $25,000 to hang out with me for 6 hours just for me to give them a pitch, and they'd go off and make $1 million companies from it. So now I get a royalty, and that's the easiest money I've ever made for me.
What is a place to go to learn stage selling,
bro?
Is there a book on it?
No, dude. That's the one thing that is. There's nothing good. There's stuff.
It's just
not
the
good.
only thing I've been able to do is watch what the best are doing.
No, dude.
And take notes from it.
So I paid. So Pat Quinn's one of the best 1 hour sellers in the world. I paid him $50,000 for 4 calls. $50,000 for 4 calls, 4 1 hour calls. I paid Myron $50,000 for 2. I'm gonna be honest with you. You have to pay a lot of money to the best in the world, and you just gotta pony up the cash. You just gotta go deep into the depths of your bank account.
For those that don't know, he's framing us right now. So
no, you do. You got. And here's the funny thing. And I'm gonna tell you this. I have multiple partners that I write speeches for. Right. I will say, pay me, $50,000, and I'll take like a very little percentage, right, for the day. Or pay me like way less, but I get a way larger percentage. They always choose to pay less and give me a larger percentage.
Sure.
And then I make 10 times more.
You're sharing the risk in it. That's the perception.
Yeah, but dude, I make 10 times more than if they just pay me the damn $50,000. And they always take that. It blows my mind, But I'm not mad at
It's
him.
okay.
It's okay.
It's okay with us.
Yeah.
Do you think live events?
I might even stop offering that because it's just no. I get a cut no matter what. You know.
Do you think live events are dying because of virtual events?
I think people who are shitty at live events are dying. Well, okay. There is no, I don't. Here's why. Because I like virtual events because I can make the same amount of money or more. Why? Because there's less friction. So will you convert better at a live event? Yeah. But people got to get on a plane. They got to take time off work. Virtual event, you get more people. So the volume makes up for the drop in conversion. But there will always be people who will prefer a live event. There will always be people who prefer a virtual event. I just am lazy, and I like internet money. I like laptop money. I don't, I was at Ryan. I did Ryan Pineda yesterday. His podcast. He's got this big office. All these people. He's got pictures of him and Grant on the wall, which is about as pretentious as his hair. I'm just kidding. I love his hair. He's like
Pineda has an incredible hair.
What does that
he
say
does.
about
His
me?
hair. No, his hair is like Johnny Bravo, dude. Like his hair is
he's
amazing.
got the line in it.
Bro. I wonder why a guy with that good of hair lives in America's bald spot. Okay, because like Vegas is like the bald spot in the United States. Like, what's that? You need Rogaine. Oh no, that's Vegas. So the dude's got this amazing office. He's really got his stuff together. Ryan's a G. But I just don't want that, dude. I want to open my laptop from wherever I am in the world, and I want to make millions of dollars. I've had the office. I've had the people. I've had the staff. I've had the crap on the walls. I've had the little board to motivate people. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to be in the same place every day. I want to just roll where I want to roll and make big office money without having the office, So for me, same thing with events. I like to do virtual events. Preferably, I like to do live events better when I'm on the stage. But I don't like the part before that, all the setup and all the planning. For the money, do it virtual. It's just so much easier.
What about those like the real estate seminar guys? They're free seminars. They seem to be like, I see their ads all the time.
You mean, what do I think about them? Like,
are they doing? They're doing. You're saying do paid tickets, but these guys are doing free tickets and.
Well. I think when people that pay attention. For something super biz op, because that's what the real estate is. It's super mass market, super like, let me show you how to make money in real estate. I think that you have to test it, but I also think that you got to zig when they zag. Like, how many free real estate seminars are there?
Infinite.
Hey, are you interested in learning real estate? Are you interested in learning how the real guys make money in real estate? Here's the problem. There's all these free real estate seminars out there. Why do you think they're free? Because they're just trying to sell you something. That's all they are there for. Well, I want to introduce you to another option. On March 17th in Tampa, Florida, we're doing the blah, blah, blah real estate. And guess what? It isn't free because it's good. You come to this event, you will pay a pretty penny for a ticket. But you are not going to just hear a bunch of pitches. You are going to learn how to seize an opportunity right now. Look at what's happening in the United States. Look at interest rates. Look at where we're about to go. This is not where millionaires are made. This is where billionaires are made. And this event is where you're going to learn how to tap in to the number one wealth creation tool that's ever existed, and that's real estate. And so if you want something for free, this isn't for you. But if you want something that works, be here, right? Like,
Dude, the instant ad, right? That's amazing.
I'm telling you. Yeah, I just, thank God that, I was blessed with that. I'm not going to say gift. I'm going to say the gift was the work ethic. That was the gift. The work ethic got me the talent or the skill or whatever. But so zig when they zag. Everything that you have that you think is a disadvantage can be framed as an advantage. Oh, my event's paid. It's not free. Okay, so frame it as an advantage, right? Everything can be framed as an advantage. Like one of our partners, he had a big podcast, millions of downloads. It was called Think Different Theory. Josh Forty. It got so successful that Apple sued him and made him shut it down. When I scripted his event, he's like, man, because it was an event on how to do a podcast for your business. And he was like, man, I don't have a podcast right now. It got shut down. What do I tell these people? Aren't they going to be like, well, he's teaching us how to do a podcast. He doesn't have a podcast. I'm like, bro, I'm like, your podcast was so successful that Apple made you shut it down. And that's why you don't have a podcast. That's the frame. Who would you rather learn from? Someone who just has a podcast that's okay, or someone who had such a successful podcast that Apple took the time to hire very expensive lawyers to make you stop it because it kind of resembled their name? Who do you think's more qualified to teach you how to start a podcast? And he's like, oh my God, I didn't think about it that way. It's all framing, dude. Every disadvantage. You got one leg? Look, you got one leg? That's great, man. I said to Myron one day, I said, Myron, I don't think I'll ever be as good as you, man. He's like, why do you say that? I'm like, you're a black man with one leg that became a millionaire. I can't beat that, dude. Because he always talks about that. He has the greatest story about how he grew up in a segregated hospital. And because it was segregated at the time, they did not give black people the polio vaccine. It was only for white people. And as a result, he got polio, which was a completely curable disease, and he had to live his whole life with one leg or bum leg. And most people would call that like, a bad thing. And it is a bad thing. But he, in his speeches, he frames it so well as like, look, I started out at a disadvantage and I was able to become a multimillionaire and have everything I wanted in life because I learned this one skill that I'm going to teach you. Such a great frame. So you can turn anything bad into something good. You can take any disadvantage and turn it into advantage. You can take any liability and turn it into an asset. It's just how you think about it.
You got to bounce?
Yeah.
We got to go?
It's time.
You sure?
No.
I'm having a great time.
I know you are.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
Where are you going?
We're going to another podcast.
Oh, okay.
He's like,
Well,
I'm
they
going
can
to
wait. Is it Michael?
No, it's Christine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's going to text her and tell her to wait.
I'll text her and tell her to wait. Yeah.
That's what's going through his head.
Just a couple questions, and then I'll let you go because I'm sorry. You got the visionary, you got the integrator. What are the roles, by the way? The rest?
Integrator, visionary.
Yeah. I'm like, no, let's hang out. He's like, schedule.
So what's hot in the marketplace right now? What are you seeing? Like, what are you seeing offers crush or clients you work with?
It's not offers that crush. It's framing that crushes. It's the same, dude. Everybody sells the same crap, dude. Well, health, wealth, happiness. Those are the only three markets. There is no hot offer. There's only a hot frame. Okay? That's the thing most people don't realize. That's why they can't come up with hot offers, because they think they need a hot offer. They need a hot frame. Sure. Look, if I teach you how to do a marketing agency, right? I can frame it as social media marketing. I can frame it as a Facebook ad agency. I can frame it as an AI marketing agency. I can frame it as a small business growth agency.
How would you frame it today?
Because I have this software that absolutely smashes and can turn a total newbie who doesn't know jack into somebody who makes decent money, I'm going to frame it as, AI freelancer. Okay. But it's still all marketing. You're still getting money for marketing, right? Like you're going out, you're getting clients, you're giving them marketing. You just happen to be using a different tool that makes it easier, right? Obviously crypto look, you got crypto offers, you got, to me, all the offers are the same, dude. There's no difference.
Funding, guys getting credit stacking.
Yeah, because that wasn't a thing 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Like
the free money, it's like free money offer.
But that's the thing. Somebody one day, people had funding offers, and then somebody one day was like, oh, we should call it free money. And then now it's hot. There are no hot offers. It's hot framing, okay? Because all offers, essentially, when you boil it down, are the same. They're either going to help you make or save money, wealth. They're going to help you get healthier, wealth. Sorry, make or save money, wealth. Get healthier, health. Or be happier or have a better relationship, happiness, right? Like, think about that. You either want to make money, get jacked, or bump uglies.
We'll continue this conversation in part 2 next time we do it. I'll let you guys go. This has been awesome. How before we wrap up, how can people connect with you?
So because I have like different stuff going on, I just made one website where if you need help getting that internet money, you can just go to one place and I have everything in one spot. That's getdanshelp.com. And
how much was that domain?
You
seem to have a good way of getting cheap domains.
I got getclients.com.
For what, $5K?
$5K. Okay.
How to think for $3K?
Yeah. I got Scale with Speaking. Or no.
Speak to Scale.
Speaktoscale.com, which we haven't even put anything up yet. for
When you launched your speaking offer, though.
yeah, for $12. That was available, dude. Speaktoscale.com was available. I just, and then we got a new one, which I can't say yet.
So one more time, the link
Awesome.
was
GetDansHelp.com.
Get Dan's Help.
All my
We'll leave that in the
stuff's
show notes. I got one last question for you. The last guest, I didn't know who you were, but they left a question for you. You're going to answer and then leave a question for the next guest.
I've seen this before. This is a good one. Yeah.
You've seen this before.
In Dubai. I was on a podcast in Dubai that did this.
Oh, nice.
You have a cooler book, though.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Looks like a
All right.
scroll.
Paul Daly, he was among God's CEO for a long time, said, who do you think God is?
Who do I think God is?
Yeah.
Oh.
God, that's not a...
We almost got to the end of this podcast without religion. And, oh, man. Is your audience is American, isn't it? I got to be freaking careful. I think God is the person or the entity that created everything, time, space, reality, and there is only one of him. And I believe that he can do whatever he wants because he's God, right? I believe that I'm not very mystical, so I believe in a little bit more science-based approach. They say there is 11 dimensions, and that the 11th dimension is where you can be in all places at all times, at all things, and blah, 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 blah. And so if I had to get technical with it, I would say probably God is the single, only 11th dimensional being. And I base that on absolutely nothing. Just staying up till 3 a.m. watching YouTube videos. But no, I believe God is a culmination of everything. And so, regardless of what religion you are, I believe that, here's what I believe. In Islam, a lot of people mistake that religion, and they say, oh, women wear hijabs because of oppression, and men, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And it's like, no, women cover because God told them to cover. That's why. And I think that regardless of your religion, if you believe in God, whatever version of God you believe in, if God says, here's what you're supposed to do, here's how you're supposed to live your life, you don't succumb to society. You don't succumb to trends and change that like we do in the West. Because Christianity, Judaism, every religion in the West becomes corrupted because society says, oh, well, no, we don't do that anymore these ways. Okay, fine. Did I get a memo from God on that? Did God send down a note and said, oh, no, you can do this now because, it's like 2024. No. What I respect about the Middle East and Islam is that they don't play that game. They're like, nope, God said this is what we do. The end. I don't care what you do with your society. This is what we do. And I respect that, sticking to your guns. So whatever God is, whatever you believe in God, believe it and follow it to the best of your ability. And don't change it because it's inconvenient for you. That's what I'll say.
Dude, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Awesome.